Captain Li Dongwu walked slowly through the long metal hallway. His boots made soft sounds on the shiny floor. Each step brought him closer to the most important meeting in human history. Behind him walked Dr. Park Soo-jin, carrying a heavy bag, full of documents and devices that showed everything good about Earth. The hallway was huge and cold, nothing like the warm buildings back on Earth. The walls were made of some strange blue metal that seemed to glow with its own light. Dongwu had never seen anything like it in his 40 years of life. He was used to commanding spaceships and making quick decisions, but today his hands were shaken. Soo-jin looked nervous too. She kept checking her bag to make sure all the papers were still. There inside were photos of human cities covered with green trees and clean rivers. There were reports about how humans had stopped fighting wars and started working together. There were plans for new technologies that could help other planets. They reached a massive door that was at least 10 times taller than any human. The door was covered with strange symbols that seemed to move and change as they watched. 2 alien guards stood beside it. They looked like giant insects with 4 arms and bright red eyes. One of them spoke in a voice that sounded like metal scraping against stone. Human ship that brought them here was tiny compared to the alien vessels floating in space around the council station. Dongwu had seen pictures of alien technology before, but seeing it in person made him feel very small. The council had been watching Earth for over 200 years. They knew everything about humans, but humans knew almost nothing about them. The door opened with a sound like thunder. Inside was a room so big that Dongwu could barely see the other end. The ceiling was lost in darkness above them. In the center of the room was a raised platform, surrounded by seats that held creatures from dozens of different worlds. Some aliens looked like trees with moving branches. Others were made of what seemed like living crystal. One group looked like floating balls of light that changed colors as they moved. There were creatures with too many eyes and others with no eyes at all. The variety was amazing and terrifying at the same time. At the highest seat sat the council leader. He was tall and thin with blue skin that sparkled like stars. His head was larger than a human head, and he had 6 eyes arranged in 2 rows. His mouth was small, but when he spoke his voice filled the entire room. Dongwu and Soo-jin walked to the center of the platform. They felt like tiny insects being watched by giants. The silence in the room was heavy and uncomfortable. Every alien eye was focused on them. The council leader spoke first. His voice was deep and seemed to come from everywhere at once. He did not sound friendly or welcoming. Your species has requested membership in our council. We have watched your kind for many centuries. We have seen your wars, your pollution, your violence toward each other and toward other living things on your planet. Soo-jin stepped forward, holding up her tablet with shaking hands. She had practiced this speech 1,000 times back on Earth, but now the words seemed to stick in her throat. We have changed, she said in a voice that was barely loud enough to hear. We united our entire planet 50 years ago. We ended hunger and poverty. We stopped destroying our environment. We learned to live in peace. Some of the aliens made strange clicking sounds. Others whistled or hummed in ways that hurt human ears. Dongwu realized they were laughing at Soo-jin. The sound was not pleasant. A creature that looked like a giant spider with crystal legs spoke next. Its voice sounded like breaking glass. You say you have changed, but we have records of your recent history. Less than 100 years ago, your species fought a war that killed millions. You created weapons that could destroy your entire planet. You still have these weapons. Dongwu felt anger rising in his chest, but he forced himself to stay calm. He had been chosen for this mission because he was good at controlling his emotions. We learned from our mistakes, he said. We saw what violence could do, and we chose a different path. We offer our knowledge to help other species. We want to explore the galaxy in peace. The council leader stood up. He was even taller than Dongwu had thought, at least 12 feet high. His 6 eyes all focused on the 2 humans. Your emotions make you unpredictable. Your curiosity makes you dangerous. Your need to explore and change things disrupts the natural order. We have maintained peace in this galaxy for 10,000 years by keeping dangerous species away from advanced technology. Sujin tried one more time. She showed holographic images of human children playing in parks of scientists from different countries, working together of beautiful cities that lived in harmony with nature. Look at what we have built, she pleaded. We turned our planet into a paradise. We can help other worlds do the same. But the council had already made their decision. Another alien spoke. This one looked like a living tree with golden leaves. Your species is too young, too violent, too emotional. Perhaps in another 1,000 years. You may be ready, but not today. The answer is no. The words hit Dongwu like a physical blow. All the preparation, all the hope, all the dreams of billions of humans back on Earth were destroyed in an instant. He felt his legs go weak, but he forced himself to stand straight. You are making a mistake, he said quietly. The galaxy needs different kinds of thinking, different ways of solving problems. You reject everyone who does not think exactly like you. Council leader made a gesture with one of his long arms. Immediately the alien guards moved toward the humans. The meeting was over. As you leave, remember this, the council leader said. Your kind will never be welcome here. If you attempt to interfere with council business or contact our member species, there will be consequence. Dongwu and Sujin walked back through the long hallway in silence. Their footsteps seemed much louder, now echoing off the cold walls. Behind them they could hear the aliens talking in their strange languages, probably already forgetting about the humans they had just rejected on their small ship heading back toward Earth. Sujin stared out the window at the stars. She had spent her entire career dreaming of this day. Now she felt empty and lost. What do we tell everyone back home? She asked. Dongwu was quiet for a long time, watching the alien space station grow smaller behind them. Finally he spoke. We tell them the truth. We tell them that the council thinks we are not good enough. But we also tell them something else. What? Sujin asked. We tell them that maybe it is time to prove that we do not need their permission to reach for the stars. As their ship jumped into hyperspace heading home, both humans were already thinking about what came next. The council had rejected them, but the galaxy was big. There had to be others out there who were also looking for something different, something better. They did not know it yet, but their rejection would soon become the first step toward building something that would change the galaxy forever. 5 years had passed since Earth was rejected by the Galactic Council Commander Kim. Taehyun floated through the corridors of Station Hope, a massive structure hidden behind Jupiter where no council ships ever came. The station looked like an old mining facility from the outside, with rusty metal walls and broken antenna arrays. But inside it was the most advanced place humans had ever built. Taehyun had been working in secret since the day Captain Dongwu returned from the council meeting with news of their rejection. He remembered the anger he felt that day, the burning desire to show those aliens that they had made a terrible mistake. Now that anger had turned into something much more powerful. The main corridor buzzed with activity. Humans in blue uniforms worked alongside creatures that would have seemed impossible just years ago. A tall being with purple skin and 4 arms helped carry equipment boxes. Its name was Kava, and it came from a planet called Zenith. The council had rejected the Zenithians for being too tall and too strong. Next to Kava walked a small creature that looked like a walking crystal. Its body was clear like glass, and light danced inside it as it moved. This was Shimmer from the crystal moons. The council said crystal beings were too fragile and too emotional for membership. Shimmer had proved them wrong by designing the station's most powerful energy systems. Lieutenant Choi Minho appeared at Taehyun's side, carrying a datapad filled with reports. Minho had been his second in command since the beginning of the project. His face showed excitement mixed with disbelief. Sir, you need to see these numbers, he said. 17 new species joined us this month alone. The Corvani arrived yesterday with 3 ships full of refugees. Their entire planet was asking the council for help with the plague, but the council said they were too primitive to deserve advanced medicine. Taehyun took the datapad and scrolled through the information. Each new species had a similar story. The council had either rejected them completely or ignored their requests for help. Some were called too violent, others too peaceful. Some were too advanced, others not advanced enough. It seemed like the council could always find a reason to say no. The Zilthrans were interesting, Taehyun thought. They had been rejected for still using physical tools instead of pure energy manipulation, but their tools were incredible. They could build things that lasted for thousands of years, while council technology often broke down after a few decades. Dr. Yoon Hae-won approached them with quick, excited steps. She was the station's chief scientist and had been working day and night on new projects. Her eyes were bright with discovery, and her hands moved constantly as she spoke to Hyun. "You have to come see what we have built," she said, practically bouncing with energy. "The Corvani brought their crystal technology, and we combined it with our quantum processors. The results are beyond anything we imagined." She led them through several corridors to a laboratory that hummed with barely contained power. The walls were lined with screens showing complex calculations and energy readings. In the center of the room sat a device that looked like a mixture of human technology and alien crystal work. "This is a communication system that can reach anywhere in the galaxy instantly," Hee-won explained. "The council's technology takes hours to send messages between star systems because they insist on using their ancient relay networks. Our system creates a direct quantum link that works in seconds." Stared at the device with amazement. "How is that possible?" he asked. Hae-won smiled. "The Corvani crystals can store and transmit quantum information. Our computers can process it at incredible speeds. When we put them together, we get something neither species could create alone. The council always keeps their member species separate, afraid that mixing technologies might be dangerous." They were wrong. Taehyun watched as Hae-won demonstrated the system. She sent a message to a Zenithian ship exploring the outer rim of the galaxy. The reply came back almost instantly, clear and perfect. The council ships would have taken 3 hours to send the same message. Word about Station Hope and the Free Alliance had begun to spread through the outer systems. Species that had been forgotten or rejected started to hear rumors about a place where different beings worked together as equals. Some came looking for help, others came offering their own knowledge and skills. Station had grown from a small mining platform to a city in space. New sections were added every month, each one designed by different species working together. The Zenithian sections were tall and strong, built to last forever. The crystal moon areas were beautiful and filled with light. The human sections were practical and comfortable. What made the station special was not just the technology. It was the feeling of hope that filled every corridor. Beings who had been told they were not good enough had found a place where they belonged. Everyone had something to contribute. Everyone was value-add. Hyun often walked through the different sections of the station, marveling at what they had built. In the Corvani gardens, crystal trees grew alongside earth plants, creating colors that had never existed before. In the workshops, Zilthran craftsmen taught human engineers how to build tools that would last for centuries. The dining areas were the most amazing of all. Beings from dozens of worlds shared meals and stories. Languages mixed together, creating new ways of communicating. Some species could not eat the same food, but they found ways to share the experience of community. Security Chief Park Jin-woo approached Taehyun with a concerned expression on his face. Jin-woo had been monitoring council communications, and his news was not always good. "Commander, we have picked up increased council patrol activity near the outer systems," Jin-woo reported. "They are asking questions about missing ships and unusual energy readings. I think they are starting to notice you." Taehyun nodded. He had been expecting this. The alliance was growing too large to remain completely hidden forever. More ships were coming and going from the station. Every week brought new refugees and new allies. "How long do we have before they find us?" Taehyun Jin-woo checked his datapad. "Maybe 6 months. Maybe less. It depends on how hard they look and how lucky we get." Hyun looked around at the bustling activity of the station. Humans and aliens worked side by side, building something that the galaxy had never seen before. They had created a place where being different was celebrated, not feared, where cooperation was stronger than control. "Let them come," he said quietly. "We are not the same species they rejected 5 years ago. We are not alone anymore, and we are not afraid," as if to prove his point. A new ship appeared on the station sensors. It was from a species called the Wanderers, who had been drifting through space for generations after the Council refused to give them a permanent home. They had heard about the Free Alliance and traveled for months to find it. Heian smiled as he watched the Wanderer ship dock with the station. Soon there would be new voices in the corridors, new ideas in the laboratories, new friends around the dining tables. The Council thought they had solved a problem by rejecting Earth. Instead, they had created something that would change the galaxy forever. Free Alliance was no longer just a dream. It was real, and it was growing stronger every day. Admiral Jang Kyung-soo stood on the bridge of the newest ship in the Free Alliance fleet. The vessel was called Unity, and it was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen before. The hull was made from Zenithian metal that could repair itself when damaged. The engines used Corvani crystal technology that made the ship faster than any Council vessel. The shields were designed by the crystal moon beings and could protect against weapons that had not even been invented yet. 12 different species had worked together to build Unity, and it showed in every detail. Human engineering made it practical. Zilthran craftsmanship made it beautiful. Wanderer navigation systems made it able to find its way through the darkest parts of space. It was a ship that represented everything the Free Alliance believed a navigator. Su Young sat at her station studying star charts that showed the unexplored regions beyond Council space. The Alliance had been sending exploration ships to these areas, looking for new worlds and new species that might want to join them. Most of what they found were empty systems or dead planets, but sometimes they discovered something wonderful. Today felt different though. Su Young had been tracking strange energy readings from a system that the Council had marked as forbidden. No one knew why the Council had declared it off limits, but their ships never went there. That made it perfect for Alliance exploration, sir. I am picking up something unusual from the 4th planet in this system, Su Young reported. The energy readings are unlike anything we have seen before. They appear to be artificial, but the patterns are very old. Kyung-soo moved to look at her screen. The readings showed massive structures buried beneath the planet's surface. The energy signatures were faint, but steady, as if ancient machines were still running after thousands of years. "Take us down," he ordered. "I want to see what is hidden on that world." The Unity descended through the planet's atmosphere, and what they saw below made everyone on the bridge gasp in amazement. The surface was covered with ruins that stretched beyond the horizon. Massive buildings rose from the ground, like metal mountains connected by bridges and tunnels that formed a network of incredible complexity. The buildings were made from materials that seemed to shift and change color as the light hit them. Some structures were so tall they disappeared into the clouds. Others were buried so deep that only their tops were visible. Everything was covered in symbols and patterns that hurt to look at. Directly landing, Team Alpha was led by archaeologist Dr. Kang Seung-min, who had studied ancient civilizations his entire life. He had explored ruins on dozens of worlds, but nothing had prepared him for what he found on this forgotten planet. The technology here is beyond anything we have ever seen, Seung-min reported over the communication system. These beings could manipulate matter at the atomic level. They could create materials that we cannot even identify. They had power sources that are still running after millennia. Lieutenant Bae Hai-jin was the team's language specialist. She had learned to read the writing systems of 40 different species, but the symbols on this world were the most complex she had ever encountered. Each symbol seemed to contain multiple meanings that changed depending on how they were read. Working day and night, Hai-jin slowly began to understand the ancient language. What she discovered in the ruins' main computer sent shockwaves through the entire Alliance. According to these records, this species was called the Builders. Hai-jin transmitted to the Unity. They had technology that could create entire star Systems they could travel between galaxies as easily as we travel between planets. They had knowledge that made them like gods, but the most shocking discovery was yet to come deep in the ruins. Hai Jin found records of the Builders' contact with the Galactic Council. The dates showed that this had happened over 10,000 years ago. The Builders had applied to join the Galactic Council. Hai Jin reported the Council rejected them. They said the Builders were too ambitious, too curious about the universe, too willing to change and explore. The Council feared that the Phi Wuncel feared that the Coniverse too willing to change and explore. Builders would disrupt the natural order. Sungmin found more records that showed what happened after the rejection. The Builders had been hurt and angry, just like the humans had been. They decided to prove that they were worthy by advancing their technology even further. They built weapons that could destroy entire star systems. They created devices that could control the weather on 1,000 worlds at once. The more advanced they became, the more dangerous they grew. They started to see other species as inferior beings that needed to be controlled or eliminated. Their curiosity turned into obsession. Their creativity became destructive. Their desire to prove themselves consumed everything they had once valued. The final records showed the Builders' last days. They had become so powerful that they could reshape reality itself, but they had also become so isolated and paranoid that they turned their weapons on each other. The species that could have become gods instead destroyed themselves in a war that lasted only 3 days, but killed billions. As the exploration teams returned to the Unity, everyone was quiet. The discovery had shown them something that changed everything. They had found proof that the Galactic Council had been wrong before, that advanced species could be rejected for the wrong reasons. But they had also found a warning about what could happen when rejected species tried too hard to prove themselves. Kyung-soo called a meeting of all the senior officers. They gathered in the ship's main conference room to discuss what they had learned. The room was filled with beings from different worlds, all united by their rejection. From the Council, we have found something that could change how the galaxy sees us, Kyung-soo began. But we have also found a warning. The Builders had everything we want: advanced technology, respect from the galaxy, unlimited power. But they lost what made them special in the first place. Gr. Yoon Hae-won, who had come aboard to study the Builder technology, spoke next. The Builders made the same mistake the Council makes now. They thought being advanced meant being separate from others. They thought being powerful meant being alone. Communications Officer Park Jinna raised her hand. Sir, what do we do with this information? Do we tell the Council what we found? Do we try to learn from the Builder? Technology. Kyung-soo looked around the room at the faces of beings from dozen different worlds. Some were human, others were completely alien, but all of them had the same expression. They were thinking about the choice that lay ahead. The Builders failed because they forgot that their strength came from their diversity. Kyung-soo said, we must not make the same mistake. We are strong because we are different, because we help each other, because we remember that no single species has all the answers. The meeting ended with a decision. The Alliance would study the Builder technology, but they would not let it change who they were. They would learn from the Builders' mistakes and build something better, something that celebrated differences instead of eliminating them. As the Unity left the dead world behind, everyone aboard knew that they had found more than just ancient ruins. They had found a mirror that showed them 2 possible futures. One led to power and destruction. The other led to cooperation and hope. The choice was theirs to make. Admiral Lee Dong-woo stood on the bridge of the Alliance flagship, watching the massive Council space station grow larger on the main screen. 7 years had passed since that terrible day when he had walked away from this same station carrying Earth rejection like a wound in his heart. Now he was returning, but everything had changed. The flagship was called Harmony, and it was the most beautiful ship ever built. Its hull sparkled with crystal moon technology that made it look like a flying jewels. Zenithian metal gave it strength that could withstand any attack. Human engineering made every system work perfectly together. It was a ship that showed what cooperation could achieve. Behind Harmony came the largest fleet the galaxy had ever seen. Ships from 60 different species flew in perfect formation. Each vessel was unique, reflecting the culture and technology of its builders. But they all shared one thing. They had all been rejected by the Galactic Council. The Corvani ships glowed with inner light that pulsed like heartbeats. The Zilthran vessels moved through space like giant fish swimming through an ocean. The Wanderer ships changed shape as they flew, adapting to whatever conditions they encountered. Human ships combined the best features of all the others, creating designs that were both practical and magnificent. Communications Officer Park Jinnah turned to Dongwu with a mixture of excitement and nervousness in her voice. "Sir, the Council is hailing us. They are demanding to know what we are doing in their space." Dongwu smiled. He had been waiting for this moment for 7 long years. The boy who had once begged for acceptance was gone. In his place stood a leader who had built something better than what had rejected him. "Put them on screen," he said. The familiar blue face of the council leader appeared, but now he looked worried and confused. His 6 eyes darted between the massive fleet and Dongwu, standing calm and confident on his bridge. "Human, you were denied membership in our council," the leader said in a voice that tried to sound commanding but came out shaky. "You have no authority in council space. You must leave immediately." Dongwu stepped closer to the screen, his voice steady and strong. "We are not here to join your council. We tried that once, and you rejected us. We are here to show you what you lost when you sent us away." Dr. Park Sujin appeared beside Dongwu. She was now the Alliance chief diplomat and had spent years learning the languages and customs of dozens of species. Her presence alone showed how much had changed. She was no longer the nervous scientist begging for acceptance. "We represent the Free Alliance," she announced. 60 species working together, sharing knowledge, helping each other grow. "We are not asking for your permission anymore. We are offering you a choice." The council leader, multiple eyes widened as he processed what he was seeing. This was not the small, desperate group that had come begging years ago. This was a force that could challenge the council's supremacy in the galaxy. "This is illegal," the leader sputtered. "You are disrupting the galactic order. Our authority has maintained peace for 10,000 years." "Whose peace?" asked Captain Kim Tae-hyun, who now commanded one of the escort ships. "Peace for who you rejected the Corvani. When their planet was dying from plague, you ignored the Zenithians when raiders attacked their colonies. You turned away the Crystal Moon people when they offered to share their energy technology." The fleet began to demonstrate what the Alliance had achieved. Medical ships showed healing technology that could cure diseases in minutes. Defense vessels displayed shields that could protect entire planets from attack. Communication arrays connected distant parts of the galaxy in ways the Council had never imagined. Impressive of all were the construction ships. They began building a space station right there in Council space. The station grew before everyone's eyes as different species worked together. Each section was designed by a different civilization, but they all fitted together perfectly. Council watched in amazement as Corvani crystals provided power while Zilthran tools shaped the hull. Human computers coordinated everything while Wanderer navigation systems positioned the station perfectly. The whole process took only 6 hours to complete something that would have taken the Council months to build. "This is our gift to the galaxy," Dongwu announced. "The station is open to all species, Council members and Alliance members alike. It is a place where different civilizations can meet and learn from each other without fear of rejection or judgment." Several Council member ships began approaching the new station. Their crews were curious about the Alliance technology and the spirit of cooperation they had witnessed. Some of the younger Council species had been unhappy with the rigid rules and ancient traditions that governed their civilization. The Council leader tried to maintain his authority, but his voice lacked its former confidence. "You cannot simply appear in our space and begin building stations. There are rules, protocols that must be followed. The rules are changing," Dongwu replied calmly. "The galaxy is big enough for different ways of thinking, different approaches to cooperation. Your council represents one path, But it is not the only path. Commander Yu Sung-ho approached with news from the intelligence division. Sir, we are receiving private messages from 17 council member species. They are asking about Alliance membership procedures. Several are expressing dissatisfaction with council leadership. The implications were staggering. The Alliance had grown so attractive that even established council members were considering leaving their ancient organization. The rigid hierarchy that had ruled the galaxy for millennia was beginning to crack. Dr. Yoon Hae-won transmitted technical data showing Alliance achievements in medicine engineering, energy production, and space travel. The numbers were impressive. The Alliance had made more advances in 7 years than the Council had made in the last century. How is this possible? The Council leader asked, his voice now showing genuine curiosity instead of anger. Simple Su-jin replied, when different species work together, they create solutions that none of them could discover alone. When you celebrate differences instead of fearing them, you unlock potential that no single civilization can achieve. The demonstration continued for hours. Alliance ships showed rescue techniques that could save entire planets from natural disasters. They displayed terraforming technology that could make dead worlds bloom with life. They revealed communication methods that could translate between any languages instantly. But the most powerful demonstration was not technological, it was social. Alliance crews from dozens of different species worked together with an efficiency and harmony that amazed the Council observers. Beings who looked completely different from each other cooperated as if they were family. As the day ended, the Council leader asked for a private meeting with Dongwu. The two leaders met on the new station in a room that had been designed by human architects, but decorated with art from 20 different worlds. What do you want from us? The leader asked. Nothing, Dongwu replied. We do not want to destroy the Council or take over the galaxy. We want to show that there is room for both approaches. Some species prefer the stability and tradition that the Council offers. Others prefer the freedom and innovation that the Alliance provides. The leader was quiet for a long time. Then he asked a question that changed everything. What if some of our member species want to join both organizations? Dongwu smiled. That would be wonderful. The galaxy is big enough for multiple forms of cooperation. The more we work together, the stronger we all become. As Dongwu returned to his ship, he knew that the galaxy had changed forever. The Council still existed, but it was no longer the only path to the stars. The species they had once rejected had built something that proved cooperation was stronger than control. Diversity was better than uniformity. The challenge had been issued, and the Alliance had shown they were ready for whatever came next. 2 years later, the galaxy looked like a completely different place. Captain Yu Sung-ho floated near the observation deck of Unity Station, the largest space station ever built. The station orbited a binary star system that had once been empty space but now served as the diplomatic center for over 150 different species. Station was a marvel of cooperative engineering that showed what happened when different civilizations worked together without fear. Human sections provided practical living spaces, while Kurvani crystal technology made the whole structure glow with beautiful inner light. Zenithian metal formed the backbone that would last for thousands of years. Zilthran craftsmanship added details that made every corridor a work of art. What made Unity Station special was not just its size or beauty. It was the constant flow of beings from across the galaxy who came to trade, learn, and build friendships. Council species mixed freely with Alliance members, creating new partnerships that would have been impossible under the old system. Ensign Kim De-young approached Sung-ho with a datapad full of the latest reports. Her face showed excitement as she shared the news. Sir, the weekly membership applications just came in. 37 new species want to join the Alliance, including 12 that are currently Council members. The Crystalline Collective just announced they are leaving the Council entirely to focus on Alliance partnerships. Sung-ho nodded. As he reviewed the numbers, the growth had been incredible, but it was not just about quantity. The Alliance had maintained its core values. Even as it expanded, every new member brought unique knowledge and perspectives that made the whole organization Stronger, the most interesting development was the creation of dual membership programs. Some species belonged to both the Council and the Alliance, taking advantage of what each organization offered best. The Council provided stability and ancient wisdom, while the Alliance offered innovation and rapid advancement. Admiral Dongwu now served as the Alliance senior advisor, though he had officially retired from active command. He spent his time traveling between different member worlds, helping resolve disputes and sharing the lessons learned from humanity. First rejection by the Council. His favorite story to tell young diplomats was about the day Earth was turned away from the Council chambers. He would smile as he described the anger and disappointment they had felt. They thought they were protecting the galaxy from us, he would say, but instead they freed us to become something we never could have imagined. If they had accepted us, we might have become just another Council member, following their rules and thinking their thoughts. Instead, we learned to think for ourselves. Results of that independent thinking were visible everywhere. Dr. Park Soo-jin had become the Alliance's first Secretary General and had established the New Galactic Accord, a set of principles that guided how different species work together. The Accord emphasized cooperation over control, diversity over uniformity, and innovation over tradition. Under the Accord, any species could join the Alliance, regardless of their technology level, military strength, or cultural practices. The only requirements were a commitment to peaceful cooperation and a willingness to share knowledge with others. This openness had attracted species that the Council had ignored for centuries. The tiny builders were microscopic beings who lived in asteroid fields. The Council had never even noticed them, but their ability to construct complex structures at the molecular level had revolutionized Alliance manufacturing. The silent singers communicated through vibrations that could travel through solid matter, making them perfect for deep space exploration. Even more remarkable were the results of combined research projects when the Corvani crystal technology was merged with human quantum computers and Zilthran precision tools. They created devices that seemed almost magical. Medical scanners that could detect diseases before symptoms appeared. Energy generators that could power entire star systems. Communication networks that connected the farthest reaches of the galaxy. The old Council system had kept each species isolated, working on their own projects and sharing knowledge only reluctantly. The Alliance encouraged collaboration and celebrated the amazing things that happened when different minds worked together. Commander Park Jin-woo now led the Alliance Security Division, which had become the most respected peacekeeping force in the galaxy. Unlike the Council military, which relied on superior technology and overwhelming force, Alliance security teams used diplomacy, cooperation, and creative problem-solving. When the Razor Pirates began attacking trade routes near the Outer Rim, the Council response was to send warships and destroy the pirate bases. The Alliance took a different approach. They discovered that the pirates were actually refugees from a planet that had been destroyed by a solar flare. The Alliance helped them find a new home, and the pirate attacks stopped immediately. This approach had earned the Alliance respect even from former enemies. Species that had been hostile to galactic civilization for centuries began reaching out, asking for help rather than fighting. The galaxy was becoming more peaceful, not through military force, but through understanding and cooperation. The changes were visible in everyday life. Mixed crews were common on trading ships, with beings from a dozen different worlds working together. Children from different species attended the same schools, learning from teachers who came from across the galaxy. Art and music evolved as different cultural traditions merged, creating entirely new forms of beauty. Council still existed, but it had been forced to change. Many of their ancient restrictions had been relaxed. They began accepting species they had previously rejected and started encouraging the kind of cooperation they had once forbidden. Some Council leaders privately admitted that the Alliance had shown them a better way. The most significant change was the establishment of the Galactic Assembly, a new governing body where every species had an equal voice. Regardless of how long they had been spacefaring or how advanced their technology was, The assembly met on Unity Station and made decisions through consensus rather than the council top-down authority. Dr. Yoon Hae-won had been elected as the assembly first speaker, a position that rotated between different species. Every few years, her opening speech had summarized the new galactic philosophy perfectly. "We are all children of the same stars," she said. "Our differences make us stronger, not weaker. Our diversity is our greatest treasure. When we work together, there is no problem we cannot solve, no dream we cannot achieve." The speech had been broadcast across the galaxy and translated into over 3,000 languages. Beings who had never heard of Earth or the Alliance began to understand that a new era had begun. Captain Seung-ho often thought about how much had changed since that day when Captain Dong-woo had walked away from the Council in defeat. Earth had gone from being a rejected species to being the catalyst for the greatest transformation in galactic history. Irene was not lost on anyone. The Council had rejected humanity for being too emotional, too curious, too willing to change. But those same qualities had made humans perfect for bringing different species together. Emotion helped them understand what other beings needed. Curiosity drove them to explore new possibilities. Willingness to change made them adaptable leaders. As Seung-ho watched ships from dozens of worlds dock at Unity Station, he realized that the galaxy had finally found what it had been searching for, a way for different species to work together while remaining true to themselves. A system that celebrated diversity instead of fearing it. A future where being different was seen as a gift rather than a problem. Stars had never seemed brighter, and for the first time in galactic history, every species had a chance to reach them together.